everyone.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining in on this live stream today for Openforce by Codeflow.org. I have here with me Yacine. So we will be getting started with our live stream as soon as I can. So I don't want to waste your time because I know we have this great speaker here with us and I wouldn't want to keep him from you guys. So, welcome once again to a student's open source handbook, tips on how to land your dream job with Yasin. So, I'll just quickly introduce Yasin to you and tell you all about him, what he's into, and that should help you ask him your questions and whatever you want to get to know about Apache ShardingSphere with him. And let's get started with this event. I see a lot of you are already here. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Let's get started. And before I go into introducing Yasin, just a heads up. So we are doing a giveaway from Codeflow. So the giveaway basically involves you being interactive and attentive throughout the session. So being interactive and attentive will might as well get your gifts back from Codeflow in the end. So please pay attention, have fun, ask questions, and let's get started. So talking about
Thank you.
Yasin, who's decided to be here with us today. He is the head of international operations at SphereEx, and he's also an Apache ShardingSphere contributor. He is extremely passionate about technology and innovation. So Yasin moved to Beijing to pursue his Ph.D. and fell in love with the awe of the local startup and the tech scene. His career path has so far been shaped by opportunities that are at the intersection of technology and business. So recently, he took interest in the development of ShardingSphere Big Data and database ecosystem and the open source community building. And as you know, Open Source 2022 is all about getting everyone into open source and telling us all about how easy it is and how accessible it is, and basically uplifting everyone who wants to be in the open source world. So this session should throw more light on that, and I couldn't have asked for a better person than Yasin to lead it. So I will be quickly just dropping in Yasin's social media handles in the chat, and over to you, Yasin. You can take over and show us your magic. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to connect with all of you. Feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat or also on Slack or on Discord. I'm happy to answer anyone. And our team is also very happy to assist you with your issues and to teach you how to contribute to open source projects. So that is what we are here for. And today I will be giving you some few pointers on how to contribute to open source, why open source is great for you, and also ultimately how you can land your dream job thanks to open source. So it is a passion, but it is also useful to build your career and your future career prospects. So as Jasleen has already introduced me, my name is Yacine. I'm the head of international operations at SphereEx, which is a big data company. We started the company less than a year ago, but we have been growing very, very quickly. We already have a team of about 60 people, and actually most of our team comes from open source communities. The majority of our employees are previous open source contributors or are very passionate about open source. We have a project that we work a lot with. It's called Apache ShardingSphere. It's a big data project, part of the Apache Software Foundation, which is a large foundation you may have heard of. And below you can see also my socials. Feel free to reach out to me anytime for any tips or any pointers or any questions you may have. So let's get started. Today, our talk, we will share some tips about open source projects and also how to land your job. So first of all, this talk is based on my personal interest and experience. And as I was a student before, and I started to get passionate about open source and contribute to open source during my PhD degree, I think I can share with you some pointers because we have very similar experiences, right? So I did land my dream job thanks to open source. right now at SphereEx. I am the head of international ops, but this job actually came to be thanks to open source. So I think I may be able to share a thing or two with you today. So why should you get involved in open source as a student? I think the first thing that would come to your mind is the experience paradox, right? Most job opportunities require you to have some sort of experience when you apply, even though it will be your first job ever, right? How do you get this experience? That is the question. That is the dilemma. Well, open source is a great way to answer this question. You can get excellent experience, connect with excellent mentors, build a solid CV, even though you are still a student. So that when you get out of university and you enter the professional world, you're already one step ahead of the competition. And employers know this and they will see this. And trust me, they notice it and it makes a difference. So as you can see here, I took a screenshot of the Apache ShardingSphere website because it's important that contributors of all levels are welcome to contribute in open source. It doesn't matter where you start from or where you are welcome to join open source communities. And once you join open source communities, you will get a lot of benefits. So you will expand your horizons when it comes to learning. So there is learning that you get at school, at university, which is very structured, right? It's very structured learning. You have a professor assigning you tasks and teaching you how to solve homework or problems. But it may seem, after a while, you may realize that this is maybe a little limited. You may think, okay, I learned how to do this, how to code with Java or C++ or a similar programming language, but how to apply these skills, how to apply this knowledge to the real world. The key is transferable skills. Once you gather transferable skills, you will be able to apply your knowledge to do great things in the professional world. And how to get these professional skills? Well, open source allows you to obtain professional interactions with people that are already far advanced in their careers. And they may be some exceptional programmers or contributors. And open source gives you the chance to connect with them, learn from them, interact with them, know where a certain, let's say, industry is headed. For example, you like to contribute to, I work in databases and big data. Thanks to open source, I can get the feeling of what will happen in the next 3 to 5 years and can already prepare for that, right? So this could be helpful to you when you are a student so that you prepare and build the skills that will be useful to you in a couple of years when you enter the professional world, right? And also, last but not least, it's fun. Honestly, it's pretty fun. Open source communities are very lighthearted. People don't take themselves too seriously. Everybody is there to make friends, connect with each other. You get to know people from all over the world, like us today. I am based in Beijing, China, while you are, I know, in India. And this is happening thanks to open source. So this is the perfect example of the connections that you can make through open source. But how would you contribute to open source? Well, there is a very large variety of organizations, events, and communities that you can join. I am sure you have seen some, if not most of these that you are seeing right now on your screen. You have Hacktoberfest, Google Summer of Code, as great events that happen every year, and they are excellent for you to leverage this platform to upskill, your CV, to learn new skills and improve existing ones. But you also have excellent foundations and open source organizations such as the Linux Software Foundation, the Apache Software Foundation, or the Hyperledger Foundation that frequently offer mentorship, traineeship, and internship opportunities to students such as yourself. So I forgot to mention also Openforce 2022, right? This is a great opportunity for you to not only improve your skills because it's a month-long event so that you can pick an issue, learn about the project, and try to complete the issue within a month, thanks to mentors that are offered by all the organizations that Openforce and the organizers have put together. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn and connect with great mentors and expand your skill set, right? So this is the first step to contribute to open source. Get involved with open source. If you're here today, right now, you are getting involved with open source. So you're on the right track and you're doing the right thing. The next thing for you to do is get to acting, start to contribute. How to do that? An example could be picking the good first issues. That is the perfect way for you to dip your feet into the open source communities and start actively contributing. We have prepared a series of issues with the help of the Openforce 2022 organizers, and they are an excellent way for you to start applying your skill set. Once you start, you will notice that it is not exactly the same thing as what you do in school, but it doesn't mean that it is impossible. It just means that it's a little different, and that you will require the help of your mentors that will actually help you transfer the skills that you have learned in school to now an open source community. So this is important because once you get to interacting with open source, you have to know the basics of it. You have the asset category of open source, which can be divided into two parts. The first one is the project. The second one is the participants. You are the participants, but there are various types of participants. So if we talk about the project, you have the infrastructure, the coding, the workflow, the documentation that is being used. When it comes to the participants, you have the inside participants within the community, and you have also the outside stakeholders of this community, right? So the ones inside, they develop a feeling of belonging, of hierarchy, of friendship, of a true community. While the ones outside the community, they can be the partners, the collaborators, and businesses that, for example, use the open source software version of your community. So when you are in the, if we consider the project, right? Understanding the project part of the asset category allows you to develop a sense of context of what is actually going on within the project. Because some open source projects are very big. They have existed for some even more than 10 years. So you can understand how this can be, like it can seem challenging at first to understand what is going on within a community. But if you spend some time, going through the website, reading what's going on, you will get an idea of the coding structure that they use, the testing features, and the workflow and rules that operate the community. And this can be done thanks to the documentation part of the open source community, right? It is a fundamental aspect that is often actually is overlooked, actually, unfortunately. But recently, open source communities have woken up to this fact, and they are all working very hard to improve their documentation. The perfect example is you guys. Maybe you will be joining an open source community. The first thing that you will look for is documentation and articles and explanations on how to contribute and how to operate the software. So this is useful to you. I recommend definitely go check the documentation whenever you pick an open source project that you are interested in. You can find these everywhere. It can be on the official website of your open source project or simply on Google. But one thing I recommend is do not skip the comment section, because often when you are on GitHub, the comment section is a gold mine. You might find a very useful link that has been dropped there a year or even more years before, and it has the answer to your question. So make sure that you check the comment section as well. So this brings us to the next point, which is the participants within the community. I put here the Apache Software Foundation because I really like their approach. I definitely recommend them to you, not only because I contribute to ShardingSphere, which is an Apache project, but also because I really appreciate the time they took into and the care they put into developing their code of conduct and their values, you know. So they believe in community over code, in earned authority, and we believe in open communication. These three very simple rules are at the foundation of everything that belongs to the Apache Software Foundation. And I think if you start to contribute to open source, you will find these values to be extremely important, because as it is an open source project, it is often not driven by money. So what drives an open source community? And it's the values, and these values are extremely important. If you can identify with the values and like them, you will definitely find a sense of belonging, and you would be able to actually join a community and be part of it, right? But there is also a second aspect to the community part, which is the outside world, right? Every community has an inside and an outside. So how to connect with the outside community? You can do that very simply through social media, you know, Slack, blogs. A good example of this is Medium. And the more you connect through these channels with other people, external people, the more chances you have to be noticed, to be sought after for collaboration opportunities, and who knows, maybe even professional opportunities in the future, right? So now that you know the basics of open source, how can you contribute? I mentioned earlier the good first issues, but there are three ways. It doesn't have to be code. Contributions can happen in a variety of ways. The first one is certainly code, right? You can write code, test it, or test a beta or release candidate version, find and report or fix bugs, etc. But you can also contribute in alternative ways. If you find an interesting project and you would like to join this community, but you find it to be too hard for you to contribute with code at first, or maybe they're using a coding language that is not the one that you know, you can work by helping on the documentation. That is an example. You can write or help translate documentation and tutorials, or you can even also apply your skill set in a different way. Let's say you're a front-end designer, right? You can help open source communities with their websites, with their UI and all of that. So the second tip that I would like to share with you when you join an open source community is to interact with your mentor. I know you guys have been assigned some mentors for Openforce 2022. I think that is an excellent thing. It's very useful, and I think you should really take advantage of this opportunity, right? Because the organizers went through the, you know, not trouble, but they put in the effort to help you find the appropriate mentor and and also to make sure that each mentee fits the mentor. So it is an excellent opportunity for you guys. So do not ghost your mentor. That is definitely something that I recommend. But at the same time, don't be a vampire, let's say. Don't be overbearing, because you should also remember that it's a volunteer effort here from the mentor. So maybe if sometimes you do not get an immediate answer within 10 minutes or 30 minutes, it's nothing personal. It's just that people also have, you know, their jobs or maybe their lives to take care of. So maybe just be a little patient, because if people accepted to be your mentor, trust me, they really want to help you, and they will do everything they can when they can. So do not ghost them and trust the process, because the answer from the mentor will come. So you should take the initiative, contact them, ask them some questions. Take this as an opportunity to see your mentor as a professor on transferable skills, someone that can teach you professional applications of what you have learned in school, right? So be engaged and energizing, and take this chance because it's a very important opportunity that you have. And as I was saying earlier, actually, you should trust the process. When you pick a good first issue, do not be scared if you at first cannot solve it within the next, hour or two, or the next day or two. So I put this quote here because I think it's very fitting. Great things are not done by impulse, right? It's a series of small, tiny things that, when brought together, they make something truly great. So the same applies for your GERD first issues. If you pick an issue, it is not one single task. You should see it as a series of tiny, mini, little fractions of that task that you have to achieve in order to make a contribution. And each tiny fraction is a learning opportunity for you. If you think about it, you're learning project management. Because when you pick a good first issue or any issue to make a contribution to an open source project, you could think that the community trusted you with this aspect of the project and gave you the opportunity to manage it according to your time. So it is actually, you see that you are learning intangible skills. Time management skills and project management skills are very important, and you are actually learning these things without even realizing it. So that is one of the great advantages of open source. And trust the process also applies to the fact that it is okay to work in bursts, but it's a long-term commitment. Some people contribute to open source for years, right? I'm not saying that you should. It's a hobby, it's a passion. If you like it, you can do it. But I put this graph here just to show you, for example, Apache ShardingSphere. The project did not start yesterday. Right now, we have 15,000 stars on GitHub. But it was a long road that took a lot of, tiny little fractions of effort by the community. Everyone, they put in their work, put in their efforts, and all together, this made us arrive to what we are here, where we are here today. So, and I would like to give you the tip number 4 for when you get to choosing your specific project. It is important that you make the right choice. I put this graph here because it is important that you pick a project that has active contributors. That's number 1, because some projects are not really actively maintained. They're kind of dead. So it doesn't make sense for you to join a project that is in decline, right? You should join something that is on its way up. So choose a project that is relatively popular on GitHub, that you can build and run on your personal computer setup. You need to make sure that you have the right tools, right? That your tools can handle the project. But a key point that I would like to stress is choose a project that fits the programming language that you know or that you would like to learn. The programming language is key. So I put this graph here because you can see that it doesn't make sense for you or me or anybody, to be honest, to choose an open source community that is written with Ruby as a programming language. Because, okay, you may know Ruby, it's great, but how do you leverage the fact that you know Ruby into the professional world? If nobody needs it, then it does not help you. So if you're maybe learning a programming language, consider learning a language that is on its way up or that is already very popular. And also consider the schedule of the project, the community, and you can also connect with the members of the community on social media before starting to contribute. And actually, I would like to suggest you to maybe get involved into a database open source project. And I will tell you why. So databases, they may not seem very attractive, let's say. You may not think of them as the coolest, latest thing. Right now, the coolest thing is probably machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchain, and this type of technology that everybody's talking about. But actually, databases are behind all of these technologies. They are the base and the foundation that allows these technologies to exist and to run properly. So because actually databases are at the core of actually virtually any software that we use, anything. So if you know databases, you can see that how the pool of the range of opportunities for you multiplies so many times over, and it gives you so many more opportunities, right? But at the same time, databases are becoming a performance bottleneck lately in the technology world, because actually as technologies have developed, if you think about it, we use everybody uses a smartphone now with an app. We have accounts on eBay, Amazon, we watch shows on Netflix. So you can see how much data you consume on a daily basis, and also how much data you produce on a daily basis. Let's say you post on Instagram, or your conversations on WhatsApp, you're producing data. All of this data must be stored somewhere, right? And it must be able to be accessed and stored immediately. So actually the database industry is evolving very rapidly, and there are new companies that are popping out everywhere, and they're hiring like crazy, and the VCs are all pouring money into this vertical. And if you don't trust me, maybe you will trust this guy. We are now witnessing a shift toward open source databases. He is a very famous IT architect at IBM. I took the chance to put this quote here because actually databases is one of the few industries where open source software outperforms commercial software. As you can see here, the shift, the surpass happened sometime in 2021, where open source databases have taken over the whole market. This is a graph for the global market, and it doesn't take into consideration any particular industry. This is for all industries. So open source databases are actually more popular than commercial and privately developed databases. What I mean by that is databases that are developed by a open source community are actually more popular than a database that was developed, let's say, by Oracle itself or by Amazon, right? So for this industry, for the database industry, open source communities are a great opportunity for you that you should consider for your future. So because you not only get experience, and you get this experience in an industry that is growing very rapidly, and in an industry where open source is extremely influential, even more than private commercial companies. Actually, this experience, you get it and you are already at the halfway mark, because experienced open source developers are actually in short supply. As you can see here from this Linux Foundation screenshot that I took, or also if you browse LinkedIn or Indeed.com, you will see a bunch of ads by very large companies. You can see IBM, you can see Apple. They all use open source databases somewhere into their business. So as I said earlier, you should get open source allows you to get the right skills. They could be communication skills, technical skills, or teamwork skills. And after you get these skills, you should promote yourself and connect with people through various channels to build your reputation, right? You can build your reputation. It doesn't have to be global, so it doesn't have to be something that seems like an impossible task. You can find your own niche, your own small niche, where you become a reference, a key opinion leader. Maybe it's because you are very passionate about it, maybe because you're an expert in this field, or maybe because you can contribute to this field greatly, right? The next step after that would be to, that I can definitely recommend to you, create an excellent GitHub profile. This is the way that you showcase yourself to the world, right? When people, or let's say an employer, is looking at your CV, if they are interested, what is the next step, especially for you, for people that have technical skills and a technical background? the next step is that they will check out your GitHub profile. They want to see if actually you're active, how's the quality of your code, what are you interested in, what's your experience like, and because, let's say, we can straight up just say it, GitHub doesn't lie. If you oversold your CV, they will probably see it here. But if you actually have, the numbers to back it up, this will help you immensely. If you have a great CV and it attracts the attention of a recruiter, they will check you out on GitHub. And if you have a good GitHub profile, that's it. You close the deal. You will get that phone call to schedule an interview, right? So, and this will make you stand out among the hundreds of candidates that have applied for the same position. So, how to get a good GitHub profile? Feature the repositories you contribute to, update the code constantly, right? Start your own side projects, and forks actually do matter in this aspect. So they count. So if you see a project that you really like, make your own fork and keep working on it, contribute to it, right? Who knows, maybe someone someday will see it and they will start contributing to it, right? So I've put here this profile because I think you can even check her out. Her name is Trista. She is my colleague. She's one of the co-founders of our company. I think she has a very strong CV and GitHub profile. Maybe if you need some pointers, you can refer to her page. And the next step is to build your own personal brand online. So you just have to be active, an active member of the community. How to do that? You can either comment or write blog posts, reply on platforms such as Stack Overflow, opensource.com, or dev.to, which are very open and very active, technical communities where people actually interact with each other. They don't just consume the content. They actually comment, they exchange ideas, they connect on Slack. So you may never know what kind of interesting connection you may make on these platforms. These platforms are excellent and they're freely available to anyone. And if you don't make use of them, you're missing an opportunity. So I definitely recommend you get on these websites. I put here just a few examples, but these are the ones that came to my mind because I personally like them. But if you Google them, you will see that there are other ones that are very similar, and you can pick the ones that you like the most, right? And the last option that I wanted to mention, you can contribute to a company's open source project, right? So it's a little bit of a promo for us because we do have an open source project and you can contribute to ours, but so do a variety of other very large corporations, from Microsoft to Apple. If you think about it, Swift, the programming language, has been open sourced by Apple, React by Facebook. So the number is very large. You can start small and then work your way up until you start small, you find something you like, and then work your way up. Because if you find something you like, you will have the passion, you will have the necessary desire and drive to actually outcompete everyone else and make contributions that are significant and valuable, right? Because they will reflect the passion that you have towards what you're doing. So you're young, it's still early, so finding something that you are really passionate and interested in, that is the key for you right now. And Openforce 2022 is an opportunity to do that because I have checked the agenda and I've also checked the other organizations that participate. You have a very wide range of supporting organizations. So if you're interested in databases and big data, check out Apache ShardingSphere. But if you're interested in something else, there are also some other excellent organizations that I've seen are present at this event. So it's a good way for you to try something of everything and then find something that you really like and that interests you. Yeah. So that would be all from me. Thank you very much for listening. I'm leaving here my socials in case you want to connect with me, or also in case you want to connect with the ShardingSphere community, which is the open source community that we work with, but also with SphereEx, which is the company that I'm part of. right? So our company is always on the lookout for top talent. So if you're someone that is very passionate and is looking for employment opportunities, reach out. You never know. We might like each other. We might find a way to work together. So let's keep in touch, and the socials are the best way to do that. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Yacine. I'm pretty sure in these last couple of minutes, these guys must have learned a lot. And of course, coming from you, it means even more because that is how you got your first job. You got into SphereEx. And I mean, I totally resonate with you about open source because when I started out, it was pretty scary. And 1 year later, I was a mentor at VGHC, which is a pretty big deal for me as well. But again, great for making connections, great for learning, and I think it helps you get rid of the fear as well that coding is meant for everyone. You just have to find
Yeah,
your niche.
exactly.
Awesome.
You said it so well. That is so true.
Yeah. So I think we can take some questions, right? For another 10 minutes or so.
Sure.
So I
Yes.
I have two questions noted down, and the guys who are commenting in the chat, you can drop in your questions now. I'll be passing it along to Yasin. So
Hmm.
I'll just read out the first question for you. It's from Shreya. She asks, what are the prerequisites, the software or the tech stack required for contributing to Apache ShardingSphere in Openforce 2022? So what do they basically need to know to get started?
Okay, so we are very friendly. We are very beginner friendly. So if you know something of Java as a programming language, then you could contribute very easily. We have some very beginner friendly issues, and that the only thing you need to know is a little bit of Java. But even if don't know anything about Java and you're trying to learn, you're also welcome to try one of our issues, and our mentors will help you, and guide you through the journey.
Awesome. I think that answers the question. The next one that I have pinned out is how much time will it take for beginners to set up the development environment and complete any specific PR for this particular project? This question is by Nikhil.
Good question, Nikhil. So to set up the development environment is very easy, especially if you have worked with Java before. Then you should probably already have, the IDE installed in your computer. If you have that, it's gonna take less than 40 minutes, 30 minutes. It's very easy. We offer all the code to be compiled on our website, and we also have Docker as well. And it's very, very easy to set up. And we have a good beginner guide that we have posted on our Slack channel, and it teaches you all the steps from literally zero to getting started, step by step with all the codes. So you just follow the procedure, and it's very quick.
Awesome. I hope Nikhil that answers your question. There's one more from. Give me a minute. There are a lot of questions in. So okay.
Oh, great, great, yes.
So okay, so there's one from Anurag. It's not really related to the project, but he just wants to know your opinion on what technology do you think can change the world?
What technology can change the world? In the If we're talking in general, that's a very good question. I like it because I'm very passionate about technology in all fields. So, in my opinion, one of the main things that will change the world is definitely artificial intelligence, right? But that's maybe a little still far off down the road. So, it's going to take a couple of years to get there. And the second one that I think will definitely have a big impact on our daily lives, even, is blockchain technology. I think that one will be a little bit closer in terms of timelines, and we will be feeling the impact of blockchain technology into our lives in the next 3 to 5 years. I think it's going to start. While artificial intelligence, they do say it's already here, but actually, what we have right now, it's more like machine learning advanced. So we still need more processing power to get to true artificial intelligence like we see in the movies, right? So that's
Mhm.
more of a long-term thing, I think.
Awesome. I couldn't have said it better myself. There's another interesting question by Priyanshu. So he's asking, so for example, if you're working on an open source project and
Hmm.
let's say it's a very large code base, so are we
Hmm.
supposed to go through it all before we pick an issue? Or what should our strategy be like?
Oh, okay. Yeah, if it's a large project like ours, for example, our ShardingSphere is a large project. You do not have to go through it all, in my opinion. As long as you have a general overview of the concept of the project. So, a good way to get this is to read the README file on the GitHub repo and also read the introduction on the documentation. As long as you have this and you understand what's the project being built for and what are the usages of this project, then you're good to go, and you do not need to go through the whole code base, because as I said earlier, there's some projects that are 10 years old. So you can imagine during this time how many lines of code have been written and by how many different people, or the maintainers change, so the standards change. So it can be be a little bit messy. To make your first contribution, I only recommend check out the README file.
Awesome. So a related question on that by Abhijit. So he's asking what would be your idea of an average time frame that it should take to solve the first issue?
Average time frame for? Sorry, I
Uh,
couldn't hear.
so yeah, I'll repeat that for you. The average time it should take for a beginner to solve their first issue.
Oh, okay. I think, to be honest with you, I think to each his own, right? We all have different skill sets and different schedules. So some beginners, maybe it also depends on the type of issue that you pick, right? So you may pick an issue that is a bit, faster to do, while another one is a bit more cumbersome. So I think there is no predefinite time. I think some people take you can even take a month on an issue, and that is totally fine. As long as you're learning and you're doing your best and you're liking it, right? That's all that
Mm-hmm.
matters. So do not stress about time. That's what I would like to reply.
Awesome. There's another question relating open source to academics. So Aryan wants
Mhm.
to know, does an open source experience help with admission in a master's degree? I mean, will it help his application to apply?
Yes, I think it definitely does help.
Mm-hmm.
Academia is something that I'm very interested in. I was doing a PhD before, so I can also tell you that it matters even if you want to take it farther than a master's. If you want to really go far down the road of academia, open source contributions do matter. And actually, you will find that a lot of projects in master degrees and also PhDs rely on open source technologies. So if you apply, it will make a good impression. The fact that you may probably even already use some of the tools that they use, so you may make a good impression to the admissions office.
I think yeah, that pretty much answers his question. And I'm currently a master's student myself, and I can second that it did help me with my confidence first of all that I know a lot of things, and I can work on a project just in like 3 days if I'm participating in a program. So it does help in the long run to have a couple of experiences in open source. And eventually, I think they can also navigate into hackathons with that confidence as well.
True. That is
Yeah.
definitely true. Yeah.
Mhm. There's one question from Pankaj who's asking, is Apache planning to migrate to Kotlin for ShardingSphere? What are your thoughts on that? Is there
Migrate
anything that
to
you've heard of? Kotlin.
Kotlin. What is that? I can't hear.
Let
uh
me just drop it in the chat for you.
mhm.
Kotlin. The
Oh, Kotlin. Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kotlin.
So
Yeah.
sorry, I couldn't hear you clearly just now. Sorry, my apologies.
No, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, I see that the person who asked this is already a little bit familiar with things. We
Mm-hmm.
do not, yes, we do not plan on migrating to Kotlin. One of the next things that we plan as a community, so we have two main things that are planned. One of them is the cloud. We want, because now I forgot to mention this earlier actually. Please remember this: cloud native technologies will change the world in the next 5 years. So if you really want to learn a skill that is helpful for you and will make things easier for you to find a job, work on stuff that is cloud native that can help you enter the cloud native industry. So one of the things we want to do is the cloud, and the second thing, which is also related to the cloud, is getting a mesh solution written in Rust. So that's what we want to do. So we want to develop a new sub community that works with Rust.
Awesome. I think we are done with most of the questions asked. So I'll just take a quick minute to tell them again about the giveaway. So
Hmm.
I hope most of you who are watching the stream are in the Apache Discord server, Discord channel. So the giveaway is basically gonna be about you dropping in your key takeaways from the stream. So head to Discord, drop in your two key takeaways from the stream, and the ones that we like the most, the top three, will be getting a goodie bag from Codeflow. So you can do that as soon as we end the session. So the top three people have to drop in their two takeaways and their email address in the Apache ShardingSphere channel. I hope I am clear about that. And I'll just quickly scan the chat once more, Yacine, if there are any more questions.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so, okay. Okay, so there's another question from Shreya that
Hmm.
is a good question, I think. So if she has forked a project where she has contributed, do you recommend pinning it on her GitHub profile? Do you think it's worth it?
Yes, I definitely recommend doing that. Yeah, you should, showcase your contributions and achievements on your GitHub profile. Yeah. So I would suggest to frequently update your GitHub, personal profile with so that it can reflect not only what you have done, but also what you are doing, what you are learning right now, what you're contributing to. So don't think about it only about as a thing that shows only the past. You should, frequently update it so that people can get to know you better and know what you're working on.
Awesome. I think we are done with the questions and we can go ahead and end the stream. One last thing for people asking again in the chat, you have to head to the Apache Sharding Sphere channel on Discord, on Codeflow's Discord, and that is where you have to make your submissions. And the best ones, the top three, will be getting a goodie bag from Codeflow. So you have to do it as soon as the stream ends. So don't wait up, do it as soon as we end the stream. Any last words from you, Yasin?
I just want to thank you for having me here today and for chatting with me and also for connecting us. Our community with the Openforce community, it's very good to get to know each other. Thanks again for organizing all this.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being here with us and sharing your time. I had a lot of fun hearing you speak. I hope you did too.
Thank you. I did. It was very good to chat with you. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I think we can end the stream now. Thank you so much once again, and thank you so much to all the viewers. I hope you have good fun participating in the giveaway. Hope to see you guys there soon. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.